as you need it, both during the service and also during the meeting following the service. I try as I may to control the weather, but Mother Nature listens to me like most of my family. So she's going to do what she's going to do, and that's great for us. I'm so glad that the weather is sunny and that we're able to be here together and enjoy this wondrous day. We would begin our time together with our prelude this morning, a piece called Connections by our own Matthew Johnson. All right, pray with me now. My colleague, Judith Quarles, writes, at this hour, in small towns and big cities, in single rooms and ornate sanctuaries, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalist congregations are also lighting a flaming chalice. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we are part of a great community of faith. May this dancing flame inspire us to fill our lives with Universalist and Unitarian ideals of love, justice, and truth. Amen. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester in our online Sunday morning worship service. We're glad that you joined us this morning here in person or virtually. Today is another step back from our time in pandemic response as we move toward hybrid worship mode, meeting outside and online. We hope that this service gives you an opportunity to pause for a few minutes so that we might gather in community and take care of each other. Pause for a moment to reflect on our own well-being and discover opportunities for spiritual refreshment and service to the wider world. Even as we continue to be at a personal distance in many other parts of our lives. We'll gather this way through the spring and summer months, and through the next few months, our religious exploration program will offer opportunities for children and youth to gather in person outside as well. Please visit www.uucworcester.org for more opportunities and information on get-togethers and to meet for discussion and support in the coming weeks. For those of you joining us on Zoom this morning for safety purposes, as you are able, please list your name on your video feed. Please note that this service is being live streamed on Facebook and will be available on our church YouTube channel and website worship archive in the coming weeks. Following the service this morning, you're invited to join us for our annual congregational meeting. For those of you who are joining us online, that meeting will also be live streamed and a link will be shared at the beginning of that meeting for documents relevant to that gathering as well. Once again, welcome and thank you for joining us this day. Would you please join together in our, let me move to our opening words and then we'll move to the opening hymn. How's that? These are words by Dana Worsop. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I keep trying to tell my colleagues, have you ever been in a Unitarian Universalist church where everyone was like-minded? And they still continue to insist that it's all about being like-minded. I personally refer to us as a like-hearted people, but I'll take my congregation's, my colleagues' words today as well. She continues, I know just what they are getting at, and I know what they aren't getting quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. See, Dana got it right. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no names at all for God. I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and my dignity, who also see my failings and my foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being into the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and who hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and their minds and their gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you. Let us join together in our opening hymn, number 298, found with your order of service. I'd like to introduce our own Robin for our religious exploration. Good morning, Robin.
Well, today in our class, we will be working outside in the backyard and we're going to build a pop-up memorial garden. So we've got some annual plants and we've got some containers and we've got a little spot just asking for some color. So, and we hope to talk about what memorial gardens are all about and ask our young ones if they'd like to put a name on a rock or on a popsicle stick and remember somebody today. And if you would like to, also, it's for everybody. And I hear one day we're going to have an actual memorial garden on this property. So we're excited to hear about that. This afternoon, we've got the coming of age class meeting and doing a outreach project, a planting project that Leo Da Silva is leading and with the Garden On Committee. And tonight we're having a youth group prom under the tent. So kids, if you'd like to come with me, I will be heading out back.
May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace. We had one person who signed up online to be a member here today, and I'm not certain if she has made it here. Is Ms. Fraser online by chance? No, they're here. Yep. No. Oh. Okay. Is there anyone here who wishes to join the church as a member this morning? All right. So I'm going to ask that we just spend a moment in quiet as we prepare ourselves for the rest of our worship experience in our annual meeting this morning, and look forward to a sunny day, an opportunity to remember ourselves into the environment that nourishes us. We would take up an offering at this time. This thing that we do each time that we come together that helps us remind ourselves and each other of the mission of this congregation and the role that it plays in continuing to nourish us and nurture us both individually and as a community. Ways that we can serve each other in the most precious moments of our lives, when things have failed, when life is turned in on its own shining face, and when we have great and abundant joy and gladness in the air, enough to share in order to help awaken the world to the possibilities and the promises that it offers us when we engage life in its fullness. In support of the ministry and missions of this congregation, that we continue to be a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world. At this time, our morning offering will be received. We come to that time in our service when we're given pause to consider that which is deepest in our hearts or most profoundly on our minds or in the work of our hands in the days that have transpired or in the prospect of days to come. Joys and sorrows that touch us deeply and are given another measure of meaning because of our capacity to share them in the midst of a company that claims us as a co-journeyer. So I invite those of you who have joys or sorrows this day to come forward and to speak briefly into the microphone, telling us first who you are so that we might be able to welcome those who are newest to us. And if you have a joy or sorrow on Zoom this morning or on Facebook, please add that to the chat, and we will make certain that we share those as well. Are there joys or sorrows to be shared this day?
Denise says, please mention Manny.
Yeah.
Janet Stone, and I going to make an announcement that I could. Would like this in the message, right?
I don't know.
You can hear me.
There it is.
Okay, so I'm Janet Stone. Look for this announcement in the message. You can actually go to my Facebook page or you can go to Robin's, but we are going to have a pop-up flea market yard sale this Saturday. And here's how it works. We need vendors. Robin has put the call out for crafters. I'm more of a yard sale person. $20 will get you a reserved spot, and you get one table from us. And if there are any more, you can get that too. You sell your stuff, you bring it home, and you keep your profit. We all make money on Saturday. One other thing as an enticement, I am looking for Christmas items to sell at the yard at the December craft fair. We did this last time. We took all the leftover Christmas stuff and we sold it again, and people bought like mad in December. We'll put it out for sale on Saturday. All the donations go to the church. And with luck, I won't have to lug home, a gazillion boxes of Christmas ornaments to store until December. I'll stay around afterwards if anybody has any questions.
Hi, my name is Laura. I want to wish my mom a happy birthday today. She would have been 68. I'm saying praise whoever. My daughter is actually going to be graduating high school tomorrow. One of the first, thank you. I thought she'd make it. First at Polar Park, so that will be exciting. And then I just want to kind of give my thoughts and prayers to the Familia family, the Love family, the Worcester Police Department, and the Braintree Police Department. There's so much that happened this weekend and this past week that we just have to just support each other. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Kim. So glad to see everybody again. Laura said most of what I needed to say. My son is graduating tomorrow as well from Polar Park. College in the fall, so it's been a wonderful lot of joys. My daughter's joining COA today and is going to invite her mentor to mentor with her, and I'm very excited about that. And the youth group has a prom tonight right here, so because of course they missed that. So sorry that the seniors have missed so much this year, but it's nice that the church is sort of stepping up and giving them some of the joys that we've had when we were growing up. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Mara Pentlarge. My joy is I got together with my whole family last weekend. My brother, my husband, our 3 kids, a partner, 2 grandkids, and some other people. And I was worried that I would be overwhelmed by so many people. I wasn't. I just loved it. Recommend it.
Hello, my name is Joe Revo. I wanted to see my mug again. And I just want to say, it's been a really weird year. Look, my jokes last year, 2020 was supposed to be a year of focus and everything. It focused a lot concerning just being virtual. As it was, I started last year going down physically and then went offline with everybody. My dad passed. I ended, and it seemed really outrageous. But with everything I went through, yeah, I came out of the year like Rico Suave. I pulled out 2 new vehicles. I come up with 2 new grandchildren, and it's amazing to be able to come up into this year with a working administration. Yes, I got political, thank you. And just that, well, I'm saying follow the science, folks. Just follow the science. And that is pretty. I like that. Yeah, and yes.
Thanks, Joe.
Talk rock.
Thank you, Joe.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy, and we were saddened to learn of the passing of Jim Kelly this past week. He was the director of Kelly Funeral Home. And if you don't know our story, years ago, almost 16 years ago, we had a son named Aiden, and he had spinal muscular atrophy, and he died at 4 months of age. And he died a week after being admitted to the hospital. And so it was all really, really quick. Both John and I were raised Catholic, and when we got to the funeral home, we sat down with Jim Kelly and he said, what do you want to do for this, to recognize your little person? And we said, we have no idea. We're lost. Neither one of us wanted a Catholic mass. It felt too impersonal. A lot of our family and friends hadn't even met our son. We wanted something that was personal. And he said, give me a sec. And he said, I'm going to make a quick phone call. And if you don't know who he called Aaron. And in came Aaron into our lives, and who did the most beautiful, along with Jim Kelly, they did the most beautiful and moving ceremony for our 4-month-old son. And, as horrific as the whole thing was, just to have that memory of a beautiful, beautiful service, it just meant the world. We haven't been in touch with him since that time, but we'll go to the service on Monday. And he continues to mean so much in our lives just for that. And of course, a week later, we started coming here to church and never looked back. And so Aaron, we're so grateful to have that connection.
Thank you. And as, so this has been a long week for many people, and I include myself among that. The death of my friend, Jim Kelly, who I took in Red Sox games and had copious amounts of dinner with, and spent long hours in the evening talking in person and on the phone, and who collaborated with me on dozens of memorial services, is gone too quickly. His life will be honored tomorrow evening for a viewing, and Tuesday morning with a service of Catholic Mass. And also this week, we lost Manny Familia, Worcester police officer and a teenager who died in Green Hill Park. And we honor their names and we honor their families who are grieving. So much this week. Also, we saw the celebration of my friend Jim Bork, who died in January, who was part of the Worcester Interfaith group that I belonged to and as treasurer, and was very much a person who inspired huge numbers of people in Worcester. He helped to begin the Wheelock in Worcester social work program here. And Jim died last spring. And we are now coming into the season where so many of these lives that were lost in our time of distance are coming back and being honored and remembered. And so this week is heavy for that. And I want to honor those lives and those friends and those memories at this time as well. Let me
from our Zoom friend Sharon Templeton. She asks to please read, my friend Becky, after having successful surgery, is having difficulty adjusting to chemo. Please keep her in your thoughts. And Michael Bradley states, please pray for my mother. Her breast cancer has spread to her spine.
And on Facebook, the Reverend Robert Gast Sr., a lifelong member of the Lancaster Unitarian Church community, has his joy announcement is you can come to get free around the World Cup candle and light to the Reverend Robert and Cass Camille on Saturday at the pop-up.
Let us be in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, source of our inner and outermost being. We come today with so many in our minds and our hearts. Those who have been lost too soon and gone too fast. And we come with joy this day for lives beginning, for graduations for the ending of one formal education and the beginning of another. For those whose work in the world continues to inspire our own. And for the opportunity to gather as we do in order that we might support one another during this time of transition. We honor this day our high school students and our college students who have graduated, the prom that will no doubt celebrate with music and laughter and dancing, not only that which honors work well done, but also honors having survived some year. And in that, we all take breath and meaning and life and love. Amen. And blessed be. I believe God has revealed the time when the world will end. Did you ever think those words would come out of my mouth? Wait for it. And that time can be known by all who desire to understand and to be ready for this coming. And I am fully convinced that sometime between March 21st, 1843 and March 21st, 1844, according to the Jewish mode of computation of time, Christ will come. These are the words of William Miller, who in 1843, at a time when he predicted the end of the world and the second coming of Christ, he based his prediction on a passage in the biblical book of Daniel, chapter 8, verses 13 and 14, which reads, "Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to the one that spoke, for how long is this vision concerning the regular burnt offering, the transgression that makes desolate, and the giving over of the sanctuary and the host to be trampled? And he answered him, for 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be restored to its rightful state. And he got the end of the world out of that. Miller's preaching in New England and the followers he gained here in Worcester were not insubstantial. And local clergy, including the newly called minister of the then First Universalist Church and Society of Worcester, which had been established only 2 years prior, denounced the Millerite vision of the Messiah come again with torment and fire consuming the earth, and all those who did not believe as a fallacy of interpretation, and in the case of Universalists and Quakers, simply wrong doctrinally. To be clear, many Christian traditions taught and still teach of a time when the Messiah will come again and renew the earth and lead adherents into a heavenly realm. Universalists, however, were not among those who shared that vision, and especially Stephen Presson Landers, who was the first called minister of this congregation in 1843. Is it surprising to learn that the first surge of membership for this congregation occurred during a time when so many were focused on the coming end of it all? A time which also includes what historians refer to as the Second Great Awakening in the United States. So I ask, on this Heritage Sunday, when we celebrate 180 years of continuous existence of this congregation, what might we garner by reflecting on this period of our beginning? How might we continue to foster a vision of a world which does not damn its creatures to hellfire or long for the awaited ascendancy to a future life of heavenly bliss as the primary religious object of our religious devotion? Furthermore, let me suggest that the primary energy which grew our congregation then is very much alive in the energy of our present moment. At its inception, the members of this congregation subscribed to a covenant which read, "Do you promise that you will strive to walk in this church in a spirit of charity and quote unquote brotherly love, doing your duty faithfully and endeavoring so to live that you might in all things adorn the doctrine of God our Savior?" Unique among the promises that were made in other Christian contexts of the day, this congregation, in the religious vernacular language of its day, asked that its members walk together in charity and love as our primary commitment, and that we do so in a manner of theological reflection. Today, while that theological component of our community has expanded well beyond Christianity to include a wide range of spiritual sensitivities, including those who do not ascribe to any language of the Spirit, we continue to reflect what is most important then and now, that we are like-hearted in our gathering, that we honor each other and all those we serve in charity, meaning unselfish love, and the presence of love itself, which is the essence of what it means to be a congregation of love, hope, and justice. Furthermore, while we have historically refuted those doctrines which malign the essence of love, which is made manifest in the world by many sages and communities, we also understand that while the world itself may not be coming to an end, world-ending realities do exist and have from time immemorial, as they have from time immemorial, and threats to our existence continue to plague our common destiny. For me, this is to say that the apocalypse is both a perpetual personal reality and one that is ever present in those things that threaten our common existence. Much like the floods that are so present in many of our scriptural traditions, it's not hard to believe in pre-scientific agrarian eras that regional flooding was experienced as a world-ending reality. I mean, for those who never sojourned far from home except during times of the great migrations, natural disasters were in fact world ending for them. Is it all that different today? For those who lose their homes, their livelihoods, or their lives, and those of beloved family and friends, the world as they knew it ends and begins again for those who survive such tragedies. And we forget that apocalypticism is not just about endings, it's also about beginnings. Although not much time is spent in theological circles that talk about apocalypse with the beginnings themselves. In many cases, such events not only mark a change in location or environment, but also profound changes in what is meaningful and purposeful in life. How many of our common causes are a result of tragedy? How many nonprofits have been created as vehicles to promote the causes which were made most manifest by our responses to such loss? The same is true for personal apocalyptic moments, which shatter the world for those who survive such events. Our hearts are heavy this morning with the families of the teen who died in Green Hill Park and the family of the police officer who sought to save him. For those families, the world as they once knew it has come to an end, and a new world is being born. I consider this when I read the statistics of the hundreds of thousands who lost their lives to COVID-19. Those who die by violence in our streets and the communities across the world, as well as those whose lives have been given in service to saving others. In 1843, adherents of the vision of William Miller dressed up in white robes, sold their property, and went to hilltops so they could be closest to the arrival of the Messiah, to be there before anyone else. Theirs was a vision of personal salvation to the detriment of all others. Another vision of such salvific work would have us dive into these communities and wrestle with these issues, with those issues that have the potential to be life and world ending. This has been the vision of universalism all along, to be co-creators of a renewing life, that we are the legacy of a people that understood that heaven or hell are realities that exist and can exist in the here and now. And that it is our responsibility to join with those who envision better ways of being in order to craft a vision of paradise in this world. This suggests to me the mission of this congregation is potent, and never more so than at this moment in its history. How shall we continue to be a people of charity and love? How shall we be a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world? I hearken back to the words of my colleague and friend Scott Alexander, who once penned, "In a world with so much hatred and violence, we need a religion that proclaims the inherent worth and dignity of every person. In a world with so much brutality and fear, we need a religion that seeks justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. In a world where so many persons are abused or neglected, we need a religion that calls us to accept one another and encourage one another to spiritual growth. In a world with so much dogmatism and falsehood, we need a religion that challenges us to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. In a world with so much tyranny and oppression, we need a religion that affirms the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. In a world with so much inequity and strife, we need a religion that strives toward a goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. In a world with so much environmental degradation, we need a religion that advocates respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are only a part. In a world with so much uncertainty and despair, we need a religion that teaches our hearts to hope and our hands to care. As we continue to emerge from this pandemic, this is the vision of religion, and this is the vision of this congregation that I hold. Through dint of hard labor and diligent attention, we have moved through the past year, adjusting to the challenges of our time with resourcefulness and caring and continued service. You who brought your best selves to this moment amidst a whirlwind of personal challenges and uncertainty have been, are, and continue to be beloved. I give tremendous thanks today for our staff and our board for their tireless efforts. And I give thanksgiving for our health and safety team, our Side with Love team, our building development team, our Circles of Care team, our worship team, our religious exploration teams, our Garden On group, Loaves and Fishes food pantry, women's and men's group, book groups, game night and trivia team, buildings and grounds team, youth group, tent team, online dinners team, summer services team, and so many others who made this year possible. And at the risk of missing someone, I would want to mention a few individuals for their efforts. Paul Marr for his technological leadership. Bart Hill for crafting our videographic platform. Our garden angel, Leo Da Silva, for his tremendous gardening efforts. Sherry Lynn for coordinating our summer services. Matt and George Bajoun, who are probably sitting in the back somewhere. And Diane Mann, where is Diane? Back there, for their trivia night online excursions. Right, Rachel and Brian Keogh for their online dinners. Betty Genuine, our videographer and photographer extraordinaire. Cheryl and Bruce Lachey and Sherry Lynn for their online worship efforts. Matthew Johnson for keeping us in music. Jen Landry for keeping us organized and providing regular communications. Steve McNally for keeping our building safe and clean. Sue Chafee for her bookkeeping efforts, and Denise Dargrand, who's with us online this morning, for her diligence as our collector, keeping us in money. For John Odell and Michelle Hernandez and Debbie Merrill and their board leadership, and all of the members of the board. For David Showalter and Mara Rouse and Sherry Lynn for their stewardship prowess, and for David and Jesse Trowbridge for their leadership in our entrepreneurial ministry group. For Beth Posner Waldron and Ruth Silver, who started and maintain our Get Out the Vote team that was ever so important this year. For Vicki Cox Lanyon and Betty Genuine for their videographic talents. Rachel Picard for her website development and management. For Maya Desai and Sean Dival and their Ferry Beach planning efforts. And if you haven't seen all of the advertising yet, Ferry Beach weekend has moved to the last weekend in August. So I hope that you will sign up soon and sign up often. Robin Mitskovich for her passion and creative leadership in our religious exploration program. And I know that I'm missing names, so I'm asking you to help me out here. Who have I missed? Betsy Wood and Loaves and Fishes. And Cheryl Lachey for her campus ministry. And Steve Ober and the Committee on Right Relations team. And Robin and so Sue Nees, who's not mentioning your own name, for their incredible work with our Interfaith Hospitality Network project here. Oh, Bill Durr for Men's Group, Maya Desai and so many others for Women's Group, Margot Stone for his investment committee, extraordinary skill, along with David Fields and who am I forgetting on the investment team? Tom Pierce and Ed Cleary, all whom have kept it. Nancy Hancock for keeping the book group alive, and Sue Crosley for all of her work with parish services. Evan Wilson and his extraordinary leadership with our Siding with Love group, as well as Mara Pentlarge. Thank you very much. Kristen Nees for the pies. How could we forget? Right. Right. Melissa McKean, who has taken up leadership with Leo and the gardening team. Such extraordinary effort. So if your name hasn't been mentioned, it is not because you haven't done anything. It's just that we are full, so full of people who have witnessed the power and potential of a community that comes together and strives to do incredible work. And the energy doesn't stop here, right? Unbeknownst to some of you, we have teams that have been meeting for the last month and a half that are planning next year already. Programming consultation that has so many programs on the book for the rest of this spring and beginning in the fall that it's hard to fathom how anyone's going to have anything else, time to do anything else in their lives. But it's an extraordinary breadth and depth of opportunities that we have with each other that it's coming. Our theme into the next year is repairing the world. How very universalist of them. And Jewish and Muslim and Christian and Buddhist. And we also have the advent of a new team, a connections team, that is looking very carefully at what we used to refer to as member services and reframing that entire ministry into an opportunity for us to companion each other and those who are newest among us deeper and deeper into our commitment to the mission and ministry of this congregation, but more importantly, to grow as individuals in the ways of our own choosing. So I'm delighted that these have begun here, and our religious exploration program is planning an extraordinary opportunity next year as well for our children and our youth. We have so much vibrancy here, so much opportunity to reflect the essence of our common understanding of ministry, which is that none of us is alone. We all belong together. And it is only together that we can, in fact, dare I say it, save the world. And I want to thank you personally for being a part of it. So this is by way of saying you have just heard this morning's sermon. And when they call for the minister's report during the annual meeting, you just heard that as well. Let us turn to our litany this morning, found in the words for the congregational response are found on your order of service. This is the home that love made. Grab this. No, take that.
This is the home that
That
love
love
made. It is full of love that the founders felt when they planned out these walls and raised these beams above us.
This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of all who have worshiped here, those who have celebrated and grieved here, the babies dedicated, the couples married, the family members mourned here.
This is the home that love made.
It is full of the love of our children. Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
Do your thing.
It's full of the love of our children as they learn and laugh together, and our youth as they grow into their own sense of purpose and meaning.
This is the home that love made. It's full of the love of staff who have served it, full of their hopes for this congregation, their hard work, and their acts of dedication.
This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of the choir, the love that made so clear in the voices lifted here on Sunday morning.
This is the home that love made. It is full of our love, the love of this community, despite our differences and our disagreements, the love that holds us together as a people.
This is the home that love made. Can you feel it?
May the love be with us always.
Amen.
Amen.
And blessed be.
And blessed be. Thank you. Would you please join in our closing hymn, number 358, Rank by Rank. Please rise in body or in spirit. Rank by rank again we stand, from the four winds gathered hither. Loud the hallowed walls demand, whence we come and how and whither. From their stillness breaking clear, echoes wake to one our cheer. Higher truth from saint and seer, call us assembled here. Ours the year's memorial store, honored days and names we reckon, days of comrades gone before, lives that speak and deeds that beckon, from the dreaming of the night to the labors of the day, shines their everlasting light, guiding us upon their way. Through the path be hard and long, still we strive in expectation. Join we now their ageless song, one with them in aspiration, one in name, in honor, one. Guard we well the crown they won, what they dreamed be ours to do. Hope their hopes and seal them through. As drops of rain that find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so we are drawn together. So we are fortunate to find each other. So we are bound together on this shared passage toward an unknown ocean and eternity. Amen. And blessed be. Please be seated. Once again, beloved, our worship has ended, but our service continues. Next, with an opportunity for us to gather as one congregation for our annual congregation meeting. We're going to take about 10 minutes to get switched over. So I invite you to greet and meet with each other, and we'll call you back together in a moment with materials related to that meeting. And for those of you who are online, we invite you to stay with us, and we will continue to broadcast our annual meeting with you as well.